A short while ago, the Republican Party candidate Donald Trump won re-election to become the 47th president of the United States, having defeated incumbent Vice President Kamala Harris of the Democratic Party. We are now being joined by Professor Femi Otubanjo of the Research and Studies Department of Nigerian Institute of International Affairs to take a look at what made Trump's victory possible and how his presidency is likely to redefine global geopolitics. Good to have you here on Newsday. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, like many, I'm sure you have been watching the build-up to this day. What, in your opinion, contributed to the factors of Trump's victory and Kamala Harris's loss?
Well, a number of factors. There's the factor of race, there's the factor of gender, there's the factor of time in terms of the time available to Kamala Harris to make herself a message heard. She had just over 100 days compared to Trump's 4 years. Trump has been campaigning for himself for more than 4 years. Let's even say 2 years since he declared his intention to run. Kamala suffered from the disadvantage of having to replace Biden almost 2/3 of the way into the election cycle. There's also the disadvantage that Kamala faced of incumbency. The government in power always has something to be criticized, to be assessed, and so on. So here was a candidate of a government that had supervised the economy. The inflation has been very high. The direct impact on the people of the economy has been fairly sharp, in spite of the fact that the American economy is regarded as the best in the world, in the developed world today, and that the Biden administration has done well on the macroeconomic front. But at the macro level, people are still feeling that they were not comfortable. The question that was often asked was, are you better off today than 4 years ago? That's a very dangerous question for any government in power. And once there's a slight difference, people tend to emphasize the fact that things are not as good as they used to be. They don't want to know about the factors that are responsible, or whether their country is doing better than every other country, whether inflation is lower in Britain or is lower in America than in Britain or France. They are more concerned about the direct impact. The reality was, of course, that when Kamala was chosen, I was skeptical about her chances. First, for two reasons. America seems to still be behind the other Western powers in terms of political sophistication. Race and gender seem to be still very strong in determining things in America. A white alpha male would have given Trump a good run for his money. But here you are, this lady was fighting from a position of handicap. Handicapped by gender, handicapped by race. So, but when I saw the enthusiasm that followed her nomination and the momentum that she generated, I thought she could do it. But ultimately, she fell almost before the victory line. She had done a bit, but if you also look at the fact that while she was addressing esoteric issues, sophisticated issues, freedom, women's rights, and so on, Trump was dealing with bread and butter issue, the economy, migration, immigrants, and so on, those things that affect people's immediate life. Whereas she was talking about women's rights, was talking that if you vote for Trump, that will be the end of democracy. That is for the sophisticated. From the report, Trump went over the line because of the support of the rural population, who are not interested in all this city sophistication.
Now, Professor, some people would say that democracy in the United States of America is under threat at the moment because right now we have a very controversial figure, somebody who has been convicted. He has a number of legal woes, surrounding his persona. but he's been able to make a successful comeback, to the White House. Do you believe, that indeed democracy is under threat in the U.S.?
Well, the U.S. has a lot of guardrails to protect the system. The system has been very, very successful in curbing excesses. But the danger that we face with this current situation is that Trump has indicated his desire to be a dictator. He has indicated his desire to even use the National Guard and the military against his opponents, those who disagree with him. The Supreme Court has given him a lot of power by saying that a president is immune to the extent of his official conduct, which means that anything that he does as president is unlikely to be challengeable in a law court. So there's a bit of apprehension that Trump, if he goes through with what he said during the campaign, because sometimes the campaign bluster might not translate into public policy. But if he goes through with it, then we must be apprehensive that there may be a danger to democracy. But I am confident that the American system is strong enough to resist him. Although now the Republican Party controls the Senate and the House, which is a very dangerous combination. The executive power and legislative power in the hands of the same party may lead to dramatic changes. But I do not see that it will undermine the basic element, the framework, the infrastructure of democracy in America is likely to be preserved in spite of whatever assault that Trump might put onto it.
Well, that is yet to be seen, and we sincerely hope that that is the case. What does this portend for the African continent, Nigeria in specific? What does Trump being in office, is it something that would benefit us? Does he seem like the individual who even looks to Africa or regards them in terms of implementing his policies? What is your take on that?
Well, again, I always try to make a distinction between the excesses of campaign rhetoric and actual public policies and foreign policy. Interestingly, the campaign did not even talk about Africa. Neither of the two candidates had anything to say about Africa. We simply did not exist in their agenda. The only time Africa was mentioned was in a derisive way by Trump, when he talks about lunatics and criminals being sent from different countries, including the Congo. Congo was about the only African country that was on his lips, and that was in a negative, pejorative way. So I do not see that Africa has any importance in Trump's calculation, but it will have somehow. It will feature at the lower level of priority. It's true from Obama to the first term of Trump to Biden. We have had relationships that they are passive, they're tepid, not very exciting. There are no major issues, there are no downturns. So we will continue to maintain a relationship on an even keel, in which there will be cordiality, there will be trade, there will be cultural exchanges. All those normal diplomatic niceties will continue to exist. The only problem we've had in our own case in Nigeria was during Obama, who refused to sell to us those Tucano fighter jets that we needed to conduct our counter-insurgency operations. But Trump was the one that approved the sale.
Professor,
because he believed that it was in the aid. Yes?
Okay, I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
Trump was the one that approved the aid.
But for the sake of time, I'll just like you to quickly touch on the wars in between Israel and Palestine, and of course the Russia-Ukraine war. How do you think Donald Trump will handle this when he takes office? Very briefly, please.
Yeah, but he's talked very sharply that he will know how to solve the problem. He's friendly with Putin, and he has some kind of relationship with the Israelis. Let's hope that he will be able to do it. I'm not sure there are easy options, but he's the president of America. He has branded his relationship with those two countries And I hope that you'll be able to bring them to some kind of negotiation that will end the war faster than if the other person had won.
Well, Professor Femi Otubanjo, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Of course, we watch as Trump takes the office in a couple of months, and we'll see how this portends for Nigeria and, of course, the U.S. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.